_Sear. And as always, joined by my wonderful companions up here on the panel. We got Big Travie. Catch him on Twitter at Big Travie TFW. And the man, the legend, the one who makes this all thing a reality, Johnny Game Time Hit. Catch his insights over on Twitter at Johnny. Johnny will
Underscore
tell you
game
his Twitter.
time. Johnny
Hell
underscore
yeah.
game time.
Johnny underscore game time from the horse's mouth. We are here on Friday afternoon. Thank you for joining us. We're bringing you those news and nuggets coming into this weekend's matchup, week 7, helping you differentiate some of that just here's words, and here are some of the nuggets that you really need to be paying attention to and factoring into your lineups, helping you get an edge week in and week out. Before we jump into some of these news and nuggets, I just wanted to ask Big Travie and Johnny if there's any parting words of wisdom that you'd like to share with Whisper Nation as we're in week 7, or how would you be looking at this stage in the fantasy year? We're about halfway through with it right now. Johnny, is there anything right now that you'd care to share with the audience?
Continue to just be ready at all times because this stuff is getting wild. I know we're going to talk about some people who are just rolled out and stuff, but it has been insane to say the least, and crazy. And so, I think more than ever, having depth is important, and having quality players that you can fill in at any given moment, because we are just getting these updates and it's wild. Like Fridays, I never remember Fridays being this crazy, and it almost being like, like must see TV, because it's like who's gonna be playing this week? I gotta check real quick.
Yeah, weird updates for sure, right? A lot of different reasons. Weird injuries, COVID reports, schedules getting thrown all over the place. Keep an eye out always, especially this year. Travis, how about you? Anything to share before we jump into these news and nuggets and questions from the audience? Thank you, Whisper Nation, for jumping in. Happy to have you with us.
Week 7, so we're 6 weeks in. So we've kind of gotten our preseason. We've kind of gotten our season to figure things out for these teams. You're seeing that in the Vegas lines right now. They've actually shrunk down than what they've been in the past few weeks. So we're going to probably see more competitive games. Defenses are going to start figuring some things out. And I think what this really means is to remember that volume is king. If you're looking at a matchup, if you're looking at a trade opportunity, remember to look at these touches and look at what these players are doing, and not just live off of touchdowns and spiked weeks. Try to paint the picture using volume, because that is what can, help us the best as we try to predict the future in this game.
Well said. Well said. Volume is king here. So I'm going to make sure I speak extra loud for the entire episode. No, it's a bad joke. I'm just kidding. So Whisper Nation, thanks for joining in. We've got 6 of y'all here. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button. Helps us grow, boost the channel. If you haven't liked and subscribed already and you like what's going down your ear holes, hit that subscribe button to catch this content coming your way every single day. So, news and nuggets. Here we are. Let's start off with the most exciting team in the NFL, the New York Jets. Don't we just love them, folks? So, the New York Jets, a little humor for you today. Jamison Crowder, he's questionable this weekend coming in. His numbers have been pretty impressive every single time the man has actually played. I took him accidentally in a league of mine, and I'm really glad that I did. But he's questionable. We got Prashad Paraman, who came back and played last week and didn't play too bad. Sam Darnold as well was limited at Friday's practice. He's considered questionable as well for week 7 against the Bills. And Adam Gase said he expects Darnold to make his return against Buffalo. We'll see about that. Big Travie, I wanted to ask you, how you feeling right now about the Jets playmakers? We got Jamison Crowder. We've got P. Ryan at the halfback position, the rookie starting to make a case. We've got Prashad Paraman, a couple of questions at the quarterback position. Are you touching any of this?
I wouldn't touch any single of the running backs. I don't want any part of the running game. I would, in a desperation mode, if Crowder was out, look to Prashad Paraman, because I think volume alone there would mean that he, in a negative game script, would get a lot of volume and looks there. He did lead the team in receiving yards last week, but we still see Crowder getting 10 targets every time he suits up. So if Crowder goes, you're starting Crowder, and then probably fading Paraman. But I would be interested in Paraman should Crowder sit.
Most definitely. Moving on right now to a more exciting team in the Los Angeles Rams. We've got a couple of updates here, most notably Rams running back Darrell Henderson, who has been leading the charge in that halfback committee there with Cam Akers and Malcolm Brown. He's got a thigh issue he's been working through, but he is expected to play Monday against the Bears. He did not practice Friday. So the Saturday practice is definitely going to be important to watch. Last week, he was again the leading runner, even after Cam Akers had that good week 2 weeks ago, putting down 88 yards on 14 carries. And Cam Akers didn't get a single rushing attempt. Johnny, right now, how are you looking at the Los Angeles Rams backfield?
Yeah, I think that I thought this was really interesting, right? Because it came out and they had said, they do expect Henderson to play, but then didn't even make it a part of the headline that he didn't practice today. So I definitely think this is going to be something you're going to want to monitor moving, into tomorrow, and whether or not you're going to feel confident in starting Henderson. Now, Chicago does have a pretty stout defense against the run, but I would start him over Cam Akers. The only chance, I would really even have, roll the dice with Cam Akers is if Darrell Henderson does not practice tomorrow and he's ruled out.
Looks like it's going to be that case, worth monitoring every single week. Sticking with the Los Angeles Rams, Big Travie, I wanted to ask you about their tight end situation going on, Tyler Higbee and Gerald Everett. Tyler Higbee didn't practice today, but he is again expected to play on Monday, as is Darrell Henderson. And we have seen Gerald Everett come back on the field and really start eating in to Tyler Higbee's volume, opportunity, and overall production. Are you starting either one of these tight ends? What are you looking at right now in the Los Angeles Rams tight end department?
Yeah, I actually think the tight ends have a good matchup here, just based on the fact that Chicago kind of keeps everything in front of them with the wide receivers and gets good pressure on the quarterback. So the tight end routes have been, more exploitable against Chicago. Yeah.
So I want to jump into some of Whisper Nation's questions. We got some good ones coming in here. Some have been answered by Travis. Thank you for jumping in the chats here, but wanted to bring it up on the show. Icy Trent wants to start 3 of these 4 options that he's got. Start 3 between Alvin Kamara, James Conner, Kareem Hunt, Chris Carson.
Yeah, this is
Alvin
like
Kamara,
this is like one
James
of
Conner, Kareem Hunt, Chris Carson. How do you get this lineup?
yeah, this is like one of those Big Travie keep trade cut scenarios. It's like, what do you? I would play Kamara, Connor, and Carson. And
you would not play?
I would not play. I would bench Kareem Hunt. I mean,
the answer here. No,
it's a nice
play,
match. Like all these guys have matchups. All these guys have nice matchups.
Problem to have for Johnny's point, but I think the way I broke it down here is, the volume is there for Kamara. Obviously, you're playing him, and I would actually be playing Kareem Hunt here over Connor, and that's because Kareem Hunt's tied to the better offensive line for rushing, the better rushing offense. With Baker's injury, I think they're going to lean heavily on Kareem Hunt here. And I also think that Chris Carson's tied to the best quarterback of all these guys, which means the offense is going to be pushing the ball down the field a lot. So for me, it's benching Connor, and it's by a slim margin. It's just I think all the other ones positives are a little bit better.
I'm liking the Hunt start only because I believe he's actually going to be the main vein for this offense. I think the offense is going to be a run-dominated offense. I think Kareem Hunt is their best available running back. And not only is he their best available one, he's a really good running back. So I like that.
No injury concern at all?
I mean, you're always concerned, but I think at this point, everybody's got a little bit of an injury concern.
I mean, he came out of last week's game with an injury. So that's why I'm asking.
And Connor's notoriously injured all the time. So I just think you don't know. You can't predict,
Chris Carson as well. It just feels like one of those things everybody's kind of beat up with it. But I am definitely concerned, and any kind of new information came out, if it was talking about the severity of Hunt's injury, then I would definitely move him to the bench if you're dealing with such an awesome stack of running backs here, Icy Trent. Good life for you. Sabers7488 asks, what trade value does Juju have, if any?
Yeah, you'd have to buy in. Somebody has to in your league has to really like Juju Smith-Schuster for this to work this year. Really low average depth of target, really low target volume. Chase Claypool has ascended. We've seen when Deante Johnson's on the field, he gets good targets. It's just not happening for Juju this year, and they're not a very pass-heavy offense. They've been playing, they've run the football and play to their defense. That's what they've been doing this year. So Juju just seems to be like the odd man out here.
Yeah, maybe you find a team that's doing really, really well and is kind of stacked and picks up Juju as a maybe feeling it in the postseason kind of option, and you get someone who's like buying low on him, who's got that
Yeah,
kind of capital to
that's
spend. If you get an upside guy
At
going
this
right
point,
now.
if you get something for him, it's going to be
Yeah.
better than most.
I mean, shit. Who would you rather have on your team right now, Claypool or Schuster?
I would rather have Claypool.
Right. Yeah.
Probably, right?
Yeah.
That feels hard to say. I'm like, ugh, but it's probably true. Yeah. So moving forward with some of these notes. Speaking of another great ADP, a high ADP wide receiver here who hasn't been doing it, but for different reasons right now. And that's Michael Thomas. Saints receiver, all pro world beater right now, has been out with that high ankle sprain. Now he's out with a hamstring, and he's officially been ruled out for week 7 against Carolina. He suffered this hamstring injury during practice. He hasn't played since week 1. Travis, I know in our league of record, you got him off of your squad right now. Can you talk a little bit about Michael Thomas specifically?
Yeah. I mean, I have a bunch of concerns that led to selling Michael Thomas. One, I'm not doing too hot. That would be the start. Two, I needed some depth back, and I needed a startable piece. But then three, even in his game that he was in, he only got 17 yards. And I think that we're banking on the fact that he can be Michael Thomas of the last couple of years. But we've seen, Drew Brees not really be the same quarterback this year at times too. So I really think Alvin Kamara is the focal point of this offense, even if Michael Thomas were to come back. And at this point, with the hamstring, we've seen hamstrings linger as well. And we actually have seen this before with ankle injuries, right? You compensate for the ankle, and so then something else happens. And maybe
Yeah.
that's what happened here where the hamstring popped up. So I'd be very concerned with Michael Thomas. If you can get close to the first round value, second round value you would need to dish him, then I don't mind that move.
It's tough with a wide receiver. There's so many variables that have an impact on their ultimate success, where they're at as a player, where their quarterback is at, where the defense is lining up. There's just less variables you have in your own control, and there's a lot pointing in some confusing directions. For Michael Thomas, this is creating some opportunity potentially for some other wide receivers, Johnny. We know that Emmanuel Sanders is on the COVID-19 list. This leaves just Traquan Smith, Marquez Callaway, and Deontay Harris. That's it at the wide receiver position. Do you get excited by any of these wide receivers this week, or are you fading on all the pass catchers in New Orleans?
I mean, I think that you can play Traquan Smith if you need to as a flex wide receiver 3. I think this is a big ups now for Cook. So if you were on the border for or need a starting tight end, I think that this is bodes well for Cooks.
Yeah, right. If you got to pick one on there, that's definitely the one to go with. Jumping over here into Whisper Nation, we got 11 y'all here in the chat with us. Thanks for spending your Friday afternoon. Love it. Keep dropping us those questions. We're going to be getting to them. And if you like what you hear, hit that thumbs up button, please. We can make it all happen. The Walido asks, is Giovanni Bernard a must start with Mixon being out? With Mixon being out, which has happened, is Giovanni Bernard a must start, Travi?
So I actually had Walito kind of follow up on this to see his other options, and he's between Drake, Justin Jackson, and Gio. And I advise here, and I know that Johnny won't like this, but I advise benching Drake in this scenario. If you have Justin Jackson and Gio healthy, that's who I would bench here, and that's because I know I'm getting looks from you guys. Seattle is one of the best pass funnel defenses in the league. You don't get a lot on the ground with them because you're constantly throwing on them, and I think Seattle. That's how you get it done against them, and we've seen that hurt opposing fantasy running backs. So shake all your head all you want. It's not on Drake's talent. It's not on Drake's usage. It's about the matchup that he has this week. And We've seen Gio be a bell cow when Joe Mixon's been out before. And Justin Jackson is in a matchup where they're favored by more than a touchdown. So game script is really going to help him in that one as well.
So I would disagree. I mean the game script, if you are looking at the Cardinals, you already have a banged up DeAndre Hopkins. So it would make more sense for the Cardinals to run more in this game to keep the ball away from Russell Wilson. Their D-line is not good. I see the Cardinals running a lot with Drake in this game. I would play Drake.
I think you got Justin Jackson, who's really not that great of a running back. They got Josh Kelly over there, who's not that great of a running back either. And I'm worried about the vein stat.
Drake's been great. Yeah, Drake's been a great running back this
Well,
year.
the thing,
How did he play last week?
Yeah. I mean,
against the non-existent Dallas running defense, he played great. I'm playing the matchup here. That's all I'm saying.
But it's not a great matchup. I mean,
it's a terrible
Cleveland.
matchup for Drake. Yeah.
No. Cleveland is not a good matchup. Cleveland is a really good defense against the run. They're actually a better defense against the run than Seattle is.
His logic. I'm really interested to see how this one ends up playing out. And the Drake saga has certainly been an interesting one. He was kind of like on life support there, thinking Chase Edmonds was going to be coming in and competing for more opportunity. That final play put an exclamation point on the role he has, but it was just one play. And if we didn't have that touchdown, how would we be talking about Drake's impact? Is an interesting inclusion to Travis's point.
Just because I really want to add fuel to the fire here. Cleveland allowing 16 or 18 points per game to the running back. Seattle allowing 16. So no, Seattle is the worst matchup. But that's the last thing I'll say.
I'll do a bet with you on Drake versus Gio.
I'm not going to do that.
Oh wow! Talks all this game and then doesn't actually put it on. All right, we can move on.
Johnny,
we can move on. We digress. We digress.
What do you want to bet
Go.
on it?
We'll move on. We'll move on.
You want to go 3? You want to go 0-3?
You want double or? I'll go double or nothing on the beer bet. Double or nothing. All right, I get.
It's a bad bet for me. But...
Put it on the board. All right, I love that one. Wallado, thank you for creating a little bit of friction over here, Whisper Nation, and we've got a bet on the board. Beer is on the line. We will see how it goes down after the game lines are over. Moving on to Jacksonville, where DJ Chark was removed from the injury report.
Hallelujah.
Oh my goodness, right? It's expected his participation in practice progressed increasingly throughout the week, and he's finally taken off. They're going up against the Chargers this weekend. Johnny, how are you feeling about DJ Chark and the other pass-catching options there in Jacksonville going into this weekend's matchup?
I mean, the Chargers are actually pretty solid against the pass, but it's DJ Chark, and you've seen what he does. That connection, it's great to see he's fully healthy. Also, last week he still saw like 10 targets, I believe, in last week's game. So he's still like the number one option there. So if DJ Chark, I'm firing up DJ Chark.
And Tyler Eifert, he's going to be out for the Chargers. That makes a huge impact, but it frees up a couple of extra targets. Does this have any impact on any of the playmakers that you see in Jacksonville?
No, I really think that it's going to be the DJ Chark show here. He's already been the squeaky wheel this week too, saying that kind of throwing Minshew under the bus and saying, look, if we're open, you got to get us the ball. And so I really think Chark, after the 14 targets last week, is going to ball out this week. Especially the cornerback matchups that you see for the other wide receivers against, Casey Hayward and some of the other people that are playing in that Chargers secondary.
Kind of nice to see Chark finally get it going as that alpha that we were expecting him to be coming in the beginning of the season. Hopefully, if you had him rostered, you're feeling good about that as well. Moving on to the Green Bay Packers, where Aaron Jones surprisingly popped up on the injury report today. He's dealing with a calf issue. He's more questionable than doubtful, but midweek injury reports, end-of-week injury reports are never a good thing to see. Johnny, how are you feeling right now about Aaron Jones? Whether he plays or not, how do you feel about starting him? And then the other ancillary pieces in the backfield, including A.J. Dillon and Jamal Williams.
I would actually kick this over to Travis and see what he thinks on as far as if AJ Green or if AJ. Oh my gosh! Now I can't even speak.
Dillon.
Huh? No. If Aaron Jones, I was gonna call him AJ, but then I was like, oh, and then I was getting mixed up with AJ Dillon. So if Aaron Jones is not going to give it a go, I expect it to be Jamal Williams. Big Travi's been touting Jamal Williams for the last couple of weeks now, saying you need to go and get him. I do think that he would get the bulk of the carries. It was kind of funny. There was a news blurb that came out, and it was like, A.J. Dillon should see carries, like if Aaron Jones doesn't play. And so, like, you read the whole thing, though, and it's like, oh, yeah, we'll give him some carries, 8 to 10, but it will be Jamal Williams as the featured guy. So I just thought that was funny. It's always, you got to read the entire, the entire.
Yeah, the Roto
blurb.
World interns are not always looking for the full story. Sometimes they're looking for a good headline, right?
Right.
But Travis, you've been talking about Jamal Williams since camp and how Aaron Rodgers mentioned and praised how well his camp performance was. Is this finally Jamal Williams' opportunity to show the world what SpongeBob is about?
Dude,
Only
Big
in the year
Travie,
20
Big Travie's been touting this guy since, Pop Warner football, man.
Pop Warner, yeah, exactly. No, only in the year 2020 would it be hashtag Jamal Williams season. No, but it is definitely going to be, in my mind, if Aaron Jones doesn't go, which I would be shocked if 2 weeks removed from the Devontae Adams I can play gate, we're going to then go and start Aaron Jones this week after he missed practice on Friday. This is a naturally, historically conservative coaching staff, or at least a medical training staff. So in my mind, Aaron Jones doesn't go. And then in my mind, I think that does. You fire up Jamal Williams. This is a guy that 2 weeks ago got 8 targets, caught all of them for 95 yards in the passing game. So even if Dillon does get extended work, Dillon has not had a target all year. So Jamal Williams is a guy they're going to use in the passing game. And that is, like, we act like Aaron Jones is just some pure rusher. He's been great as a slasher, but he gets it done as a receiver in this offense. And that's where I think Jamal Williams can step right in and be that guy for Rodgers, who loves Aaron Jones. Like, this team loves Aaron Jones. It reminds me of like Mark Ingram light as far as the locker room liking him.
Big trust, baby.
So
Big trust.
I would be really, little trust.
Little trust.
Yeah. But I like Jamal Williams this week.
I think this is that chance where they're going to give him the rock, like, no matter what, even if he doesn't look super efficient. Exactly how you put it. They love him. He's not bad. He might not be the best, but it doesn't matter. And I think they still win this week. Last point with the Packers before jumping into some questions from Whisper Nation. Robert Tunyon rhymes with Funyun. It's questionable for week 7 against the Texans. Did you hear that news story, though? People have been pronouncing his name wrong the last couple of years, and he just hasn't corrected anybody. But he came out this week now and said it. Yeah, it's Tunyon, like, rhymes with Funyun.
It's like Tyrod Taylor. I guess Tyrod the whole time. He just doesn't correct him.
That's funny.
Yeah. So he popped up. He was limited on Friday's practice. He's still considered a true question mark. Does this make any impact if Tunyon is out for the Packers overall and the other playmakers there? Does this have an actual impact on it? I want to hear from Travi on this one.
Yeah, I do think that if Tunyon is out, then MVS gets another significant upgrade. I already like MVS as like a flex play this week if you need to, because this Houston secondary is not very good. And then if we got Aaron Jones out, right, and you're looking for guys that, Rodgers really wants to go to, I think that MVS is a familiar face for him, and he goes to, especially in the deep ball, like he's a guy that could pay off in any single play because he's been targeted deep quite a bit.
So we're going to jump to some of these questions here from Whisper Nation. Thanks y'all for joining us. Not a lot of time I don't think we need to spend in these ones. I want to hear from both of you guys, though, of which one you'd rather start here. So who would you start in a flex spot? This question is from FM0824. Giovanni Bernard or T. Higgins, full point PPR.
You want me to?
I would start T. Higgins in a full point PPR. Sorry, John, I thought you were going to hop in there.
Oh, no.
I would start T. Higgins in a full point PPR. I know we've been talking up Gio Bernard, or I have. I shouldn't let you guys take credit for talking up Gio Bernard. But I do like T. Higgins this week. He's seen consistent targets over the last couple of weeks, leads that team in air yards, I believe, as well over the last few weeks. And T. Higgins has just become he came in with Joe Burrow. He actually flew down to be with Joe Burrow during quarantine to work on their rapport, and it's paying off in big ways so far this year.
Any disagreement there, Johnny?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, I like the line that Travis said at the beginning of the show of opportunity is king. Giovanni Bernard looks to be the only halfback there with Joe Mixon out. Now, they could factor in another running back. You never know who they're pulling off the practice squad. So that is obviously a concern. But there are 3 receivers there in Cincinnati who have been getting good work there in Higgins, AJ Green, and Tyler Boyd. They have all been playing pretty well. And are you guys concerned at all that one of these 3 receivers is going to take away from the ceiling of another? Or is the volume coming from Joe Burrow and in Cincinnati just so much that they're all going to eat no matter what?
They only have
It's
one.
the last part.
Yeah, they only have one. Sorry, Travis, to cut you off, but they only have one. Cincinnati only has one game in which Joe Burrow has thrown under 35 passing attempts. Vegas has this as Cleveland being favored in this game. So once again, Vegas thinks that Joe Burrow will be passing, and I'm pretty sure me and Travis and you all probably think that as well. So I'm not as concerned about that part.
Yeah, 8 or more targets in 3 of his last 4 games for T. Higgins. I'm not concerned about the volume not being there because it's just been there. So even in the boom games that you've had from AJ Green, where AJ Green saw significant targets, it's always been T. Higgins. And the thing that I like about T. Higgins the most, it's not being talked about since Uzomah went down. T. Higgins is a bigger body that they use in the red zone, almost like a tight end, kind of the way Pittsburgh is using Claypool. So I like the way that they scheme to get Higgins involved in this offense.
So an increase in the floor there of T. Higgins because of the role and the size,
yeah.
and he's playing with these. That's a good point there, Travis. Sabres 7488 wants us to pick 2 full point PPR between Juju Smith-Schuster, DJ Chark, and Will Fuller. It's the latter, right? Are we sitting Juju?
Yeah, we're sitting Juju.
Yeah.
Watch, this is the week he goes off too. I know it.
Oh, of course.
But yeah, you're sitting Juju.
The other 2 are number 1s with huge ceilings ahead of them, and Juju looks like the number 2 with a limited ceiling, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so yep, agreed with Travis's point there. Walker Bascott's thoughts on Mixon. Currently have Montgomery in my flex. His team needs a tight end, so I'm thinking about sending Montgomery and Jonnu Smith for Mixon. So an injured Joe Mixon for Jonnu Smith and David Montgomery.
I wouldn't do that.
I think I advised him no. He did mention that he also has Kelsey, which makes it kind of tempting to do this deal if you already have it. But I mentioned in the feedback was Jonnu Smith's a positional advantage, regardless if you have Kelsey or not. He's been so good you could probably play him in flex some weeks. And then the thing is with Montgomery, he may not be as good as Joe Mixon, but he's getting RB1 usage. And so we've talked again about volume here. And so if Mixon's hurt, he's not playing this week. At least you can start Montgomery right now, and you're putting him in most games.
And two quick other notes on top of what Big Travis said. One, with COVID being, and referring back to the beginning of this show, with COVID this year, we don't know what. Listen, I've been there, and Travis has been there, Austin's been there. You wake up the day before game, and COVID hit your team. I don't know if they're playing this week, and you got to find a quick pivot. So you have a great second pivot to have in that and Jonnu Smith. And then the second thing I'll add on top of that, you also need to look at it as a positional advantage, right? This is also, yes, we want to try to maximize our points as well, but it's also, you have to look at the game in itself. You are keeping a positional chip away from your 11 other people in a position that is bone dry. We thought there was going to be a lot of tight end options, and it's real thin. So you are keeping as well that bargaining chip away from opponents. So that's another good thing to keep in mind.
And to Travis' point there too about Montgomery and the volume, we've seen Joe Mixon's floor. It's pretty low. And then we've seen the ceiling that results from the volume that he gets as well, and it's pretty high. We haven't seen Montgomery hit on that one, but I would agree that it's probably coming. That team is winning. He's really the only halfback over there. There's still room for him to be better. He's a second-year player. I think it's coming. Another question here. I think that this is a question. Miles says, I have to start Gio Bernard over Josh Jacobs because of the matchup and Raiders O-line out because of COVID. So that's not a question, but it's a good comment. And
he's letting us know.
He's letting us know. Yeah, he's letting us know.
Hey, this is a safe place. This is a safe place.
Yeah, man, appreciate you bringing that to our eardrums here. That's a scary thing, though. We haven't talked about the Raiders' offensive line being out. It's like every single one of them, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's weird. I've never heard of an entire offensive line not being present for an NFL game. They love to pound the rock with Josh Jacobs. He's a main vein, but that offensive line is super important, and I have no idea how good their reserves are. Do you agree with this assessment? Because in a healthy world, I think we're starting Josh Jacobs over Giovanni Bernard, even with the Joe Mixon news. But this O-line is super alarming. Do you guys agree about this?
It's not even just the O-line too. Tampa Bay has yet to let any single rusher get over 60 yards this year.
Yeah.
Oh God,
Yeah.
So
that's with good line.
Dude, it's gonna be brutal, man. Like,
it's gonna be a bloodbath.
I think I'm okay starting this is gross, but I think I'm okay rolling Gio Bernard, given the situation.
Yeah.
That stat you just shared, man, like, that's a done deal for me. And I don't even care if Josh Jacobs has something weird, breaks 3 80-yard touchdown runs out. Like, you don't start him. No line, and it's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers who've just been eating running backs. Jesus. Miles out, should I drop Brady for Herbert?
No, go ahead, Travis.
Sorry, I kind of answered him in the chat too, and I think the thing is like Brady's weapons are finally getting healthier and kind of coming on now, and I would actually hold Brady right now and just kind of wait and see. And as good as Herbert's been, which he's been the best rookie QB, he's been really good. He's still a rookie, and there's still going to be some growing pains before we know it. I believe here, so I'd be hanging on to Brady.
Also, like the matchups schedule wise coming up for the Buccaneers are just it's insane. It's just so tantalizing. You got the next 2 weeks a little bit rough, but then you got Green Bay, no. What am I talking about? We're already in week 7 here. They have the New York Giants next week, New Orleans Saints after that, Carolina, then the LA Rams, then Kansas City. And then look at this in the playoffs here. Minnesota, Atlanta, Detroit. And then if you play in week 17 for championships, I don't know why, but Atlanta again. So yeah, like I think that Tom Brady could really have a nice end of season here, as Travis said, with all the weapons getting healthy.
I just want to say thanks to. Oh, sorry, Austin. I just want to say thanks to everyone watching. We got 22 in the chat. We've got 11 likes. If we could get those likes up, we'd greatly appreciate that. That's huge for us to get the likes up there. And without further ado, there you go, Austin.
And subscribe if you're new to our channel and
if
like
you
your
like
content.
what we're saying. Yeah. And these numbers keep going up, so I know y'all are. The data would suggest that what we're saying is good. So please hit that subscribe button if that take is correct. And if not, we love you anyways. But I wanted to say about Tom Brady that the man right now is, I believe, number 15 in points per game. And that doesn't sound crazy impressive, but you look at the difference between Justin Herbert, who is number 8, and number 15 there for Tom Brady. The point differential is like 3 points. Tom Brady's pushing 19 points per game, and Herbert's around 22 points per game. And this is coming off of his amazing 4-touchdown performance the week before. I just say to Justin Herbert, the man looks like he's throwing the ball for 2 yards or 200 yards on every throw. It's looking like he's having a little bit of a tough time making those first down completions, but Keenan Allen was out. I think that Keenan Allen coming back probably has a lot of help, but I would totally agree with the Tom Brady take. It looks like he's just getting started. He's been pretty good. His downfield accuracy has been strong. He's shown his ceiling is for like 4 or 5 touchdowns. He can make it happen. So no, I would agree with those ones there. Should I drop, this is D-Bud, drop Madison or Jamal Williams for Gio? I have Cook. I wouldn't want to drop Madison if I had Dalvin Cook.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't.
Would you?
Unless you have, if you have to get a win this week, if you need a win this week, I would do it. I would definitely do it because I think Williams will be, an option this week. But that's tough because you really don't know right now if Jones is going to give it a go. So you might drop your handcuff, pick up Williams.
The good news in dropping Madison this week is that he doesn't play. They are on a bye.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. See what you need to do, and then pick him up next week.
And Dalvin Cook should be back after the bye.
Yeah.
We expect. So
they basically said and they're playing Green Bay, so I imagine they will.
So I didn't remember about the bye there. So with that news, it's pretty unlikely that someone in your league is going to pick up Madison sitting behind a healthy Dalvin Cook, right? So I would agree then dropping Madison, especially if you need a win this week. But if you're preparing for long season, Aaron Jones might not even be out this week. Jamal Williams then wouldn't be that effective, and long-term moving forward, Dalvin Cook hasn't
Yeah.
been healthy very often. And Madison, I know he didn't have a great week last week, but the man is a very good running back. He looks to have that.
I love what you just said right there. That was perfect.
Thank you for that. Cam Torvikar asks, needs 2 wide receivers. DeAndre Hopkins, Deebo Samuel, Robert Woods, and Mike Williams. Travi, I saw you touched in on this one already. You want to share with the listeners here how you feel about needing 2 between DeAndre Hopkins, Deebo Samuel, Robert Woods, Mike Williams?
Yeah, I really like DeAndre Hopkins if he goes, just based on the matchup against Seattle. We talked about that. I don't know if he will go based on what Cliff said about him, the bye coming. If D-Hop sits, I'm going Robert Woods here. Robert Woods and Mike Williams. I like Mike Williams, man, with Herbert, what he showed. And you can talk about Mike Williams just having one game with Herbert where he popped. But if you talk about the Tampa Bay game where Williams sat, it was these other 2 no-name guys that had deep routes down the field. Herbert is second in the NFL with 5 deep touchdowns. That is second to only Russell Wilson. So Herbert's pushing the ball down the field in a way Tyrod Taylor was not doing in this offense in the first week. And so I really like Mike Williams going forward, and I really like him in this matchup against Jacksonville, who's just not stopped anybody.
Yeah, that
we talked about Mike Williams is the downfield threat, and we thought Tyrod Taylor was really going to benefit Mike Williams, and Justin Herbert was going to be the kiss of death. Then we saw the way Justin Herbert likes to play, and reminding of, I think, on one of his first or second big passes he caught in the last game there, the commentator is saying 50-50 ball Mike Williams. And that famous line of 50-50 balls aren't 50-50 for BMW. They're like 80-20, what Tyrod Taylor said. And then what did he do? He pulled down that 50-50 ball. So it looks like this could be the final or the eventual showcase of Mike Williams. He's healthy. He's got a quarterback who likes to chuck it, had a really good week before the bye. I'm excited to see what BMW is about this week. And my excitement made me lose my place in the comments here, but we just found it.
Yeah, it's like
no, they really are. I know we got news and nuggets to jump to, but these questions have just been so good, Whisper Nation. Thank you for bringing them our way. Brazy Brady, what's going on, Brazy Brady? He asks, Gio or Jamal, end of bench? And would y'all drop Woods, got a groin injury, for Higgins? So Gio or Jamal, assuming he's talking about Jamal Williams at the end of the bench. Ask that question first. I mean, Gio's got a better week this week.
I want Jamal Williams. I think he's tied to the better offense. I think he's tied to the more upside season long. If something were to linger with Aaron Jones, I really like Jamal Williams' rest of season outlook.
Do you think A.J. Dillon eats into Jamal Williams like in 4 weeks? Let's say that maybe Jones got hit by a bus.
Maybe he's going to do what Jamal's done to Aaron Jones, where he's like cycle in on a drive or 2. But I think we've seen already, if you can receive out of the backfield as a running back in this offense, like big things can happen for you. So I really like Jamal Williams there.
How about the second question here on dropping Robert Woods for T. Higgins, referencing the groin injury on Woods?
Yeah, shout out to Brazy Brady, because he actually broke the news to me. I had to go to Twitter real quick, and he is correct. There was a groin injury that kept Robert Woods out of practice today that just was announced, so I didn't realize that. But either way, I told Brazy, and I think he's with me here, that was a bit impulsive to be like, don't be dropping Robert Woods for T. Higgins. We love T. Higgins. We love what he's progressing, but Robert Woods, when healthy, is the number 1 in this offense. You don't want to be giving up that in LA.
Good.
Yeah, he's good.
Just from the eye test, Robert Woods this year looks like he is playing on an extra level this year. He's always been productive. He's always done his role, but he looks like to take the quarterback comparison there of like the game manager is how he looked to me before. And now he looks like a playmaker. Like Robert Woods is making things happen, and he's making that offense so much better. T. Higgins is no slouch, but he's not the main vein just yet.
Mm-hmm. And he's getting at least 2 rushing attempts per game. So Robert Woods, that is. So that's nice.
That's a nice point to add in there. Game time. Sticking with Brazy Brady here, he says start sits 10-team full PPR redraft. 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, flex. Running backs, he's got Hunt, James Robinson, CEH, Justin Jackson, Giovanni Bernard. So starting 2 there between Hunt, Robinson, CEH, Justin Jackson, Giovanni Bernard. We can take Justin Jackson off that list, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're starting. I think you're starting Hunt and CEH here.
Yeah.
That would be my suggestion. CEH, this is look. The rumors now, or the rumblings now, are that Le'Veon Bell may not know the playbook well enough just yet, and so even if he is active, I'm just not trusting him this week. I think that will obviously change, and that will eat into CEH rest of season. But this is another good spot to smash CEH into your lineup, and then Kareem Hunt for all the reasons we said before, being the focal point of his offense and really good offensive line in Cleveland.
CEH looked good last week. He looked like he got fired up from that competition standpoint, didn't it?
Love to see, yeah, love to see
really
that keep going.
For sure. And then the wide receiver position here on Brady's questions. He's got to pick 2 here: Stephon Diggs, Chris Godwin, AJ Brown, Robert Woods, DJ Chark. Good team over here. So picking 2 of
Really
Diggs,
good.
Godwin, Brown, Robert Woods, DJ Chark.
I'll let Johnny take this one. It's too hard for me.
I'm only choosing. I'm choosing. Well, I would choose Diggs, Godwin, and Chark.
And that's good because we only picked 2 running backs, so I think he can, and it's full PPR, so I like that too.
Yeah.
Because then he can start the 3 wide receivers and roll with the 2 running backs we said.
Yeah, I'd agree with those ones too. All right, new question here from Adam Lovett. Do I start CEH or James Robinson? We just answered in the other ones. It's CEH this week right now. James Robinson looking fine, but CEH looks to have the higher ceiling, playing on the better offense. Le'Veon should not really be a factor this week for a couple of different reasons. And better offense, better player, all that stuff. Julio DLG asks David Johnson or Kenyon Drake for DraftKings. David Johnson or Kenyon Drake?
Oh, I don't. You would have to. I haven't. I don't do DFS, so.
DFS is the same thing. We're just asking who's going to have the better day, right? So David Johnson or
yeah, but there's also.
Kenyon
Are
Drake?
they the same price though? That's the only.
Oh, I'm not sure.
So then,
I would imagine they're similar though. They're both. Well, maybe. I think David Johnson has the better day. There's no better matchup in the NFL right now for opposing running backs than Green Bay. Like you start your
that's very very true.
Walker Bask, speaking of Green Bay, wants to know if Aaron Jones doesn't play, start Crowder or A.J. Dillon, standard scoring.
Well,
I would start Crowder.
But monitor him.
I don't trust. Yeah, I just don't. Well, yeah, because Crowder could be out too. So make sure you know the health.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what those games line up time-wise, but yeah, I would start Crowder if I can, just because I just don't know what we're going to see out of A.J. Dillon volume-wise.
Crowder is at 10 a.m.
Yeah, so you'll know in time. That's good.
Keep an eye on it. Jake, 1079, Dynasty League with contract. That's fun. I drafted Antonio Brown for $1 and signed him for 3 years. What do you guys think about his longevity? I'm stacked at wide receiver, so I stashed him for this reason. Game time. I know you've been pushing this in so many of our football threads. I'll let you take it here.
I mean, yeah, I think that's great. I would try to flip him if you can. Like I would try. Now that you did that, you got the contract. That's cool. The contracts thing is really, really kind of interesting, kind of fun. I've kind of wanted to do a league with that, but I know it's a lot of extra stuff. But yeah, I would. Once he signs, there are rumors he's going to go to Seattle. Now that a lot of people would not necessarily love to see that, as far as if you roster DK Metcalf or Tyler Lockett, but definitely would be a nasty trio if he went to the Seahawks. But yeah, I would just wait until he does sign for sure, and then throw out some deals and try to capitalize on it. If you're deep at the position and you don't need him, then you might as well try to better yourself for later on in your gameplay.
Coolest Gaming. He's in a tough spot. He's 1-5 right now. It's a tough start to the year. Trying to get out of that hole. Asks, should I trade Dalvin Cook for George Kittle and Myles Gaskin? My current other tight end is Eric Ebron. If you need to get this win, you've got Dalvin Cook on a bye this week, but you've also got Gaskin on a bye this week. So you're not sitting with either one. George Kittle looks awesome. Dalvin Cook is really good.
Hold on. Where is this question at? Sorry, I'm lost.
Cool.
Should I
Coolest
trade
gaming.
Dalvin Cook for Kittle and Gaskin? Current tight end is Ebron. I'm 1-5.
I would do this. Hear me out.
Yeah, Gaskin's on bye too, so it's not like you're losing any starter running back. I mean, you'd lose
Right.
Kittle this week against New England. So,
Wait.
yeah, I mean, I would probably do this deal too. You get
Kittle's pretty
Dalvin Cook.
nasty.
Yeah. Wait, hold on. You're
Kittle's-
getting he's trading Dalvin Cook and he's getting back Kittle and Gaskins.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Then
Yeah.
I would keep Dalvin Cook.
I think
You're not even getting the running.
I
You're
would
not
do
even getting
this.
the running back to start this week.
But I would but you're getting
So that's
Kittle.
null.
You can start Kittle. I would rather start Kittle over Ebron this week. So you're getting that positional advantage there. And then I'm never going to sit here and
advantage this week. I don't know if you're getting an advantage this week against Bill Belichick and the Patriots, who blanked Darren Waller a couple weeks.
Oh, that is a good
ago.
point. Fair
We
point.
We know what they do against your best player. They take him away.
Yeah.
They've done it since Bill Belichick's been in the league. I don't think that you're getting enough of an advantage here, even though how much I love Kittle and how much Kittle tilts the field for you every week. Usually, you're not getting enough advantage to give up a potential top 5 running back for the rest of the season.
That's fair. Maybe if you can get like another piece in there or a better running back than
It'd be nice to start.
Gaskin.
Yeah, it would be nice to be able to start a running back this week if you got it back.
Yeah,
Right.
if you had a similar running back and pedigree to Gaskin, but had already had their bye, and you're at 1-5, I would put a lot more consideration into this. But Dalvin Cook's upside, like as much as I love George Kittle, when he blows up, you're looking at like a 20-point game, right? And you're more realistic, like a 15-point game. Other Dalvin Cook is the kind of player who can get you 30 when you're taking it there, and it's just that can really make a big difference. I would rather have my difference maker at a running back position than at a tight end position. Love these questions here from the Whisper Nation. These are fantastic. And make sure you hit that thumbs up button. Please hit that one and the subscribe button as well. A lot of comments coming in here, but jumping into some of the news and nuggets for the episode we are on here. Moving through, we talked a little bit about the Houston Texans and Jordan Atkins, tight end, ankle, and a concussion. Didn't practice Friday. Is questionable to play this week up against Green Bay. Johnny, does this has any impact on the tight end situation in Houston as well as the other playmakers there, Will Fuller, David Johnson included?
Yeah, I would play Fells again. I think he's a good play. If Akins continues to sit, I definitely like him. He's been seeing an increase in snap share as well as in targets as well. So I like him this week.
No doubt. Travis, Justin Jackson with the Los Angeles Chargers. His knee is making him questionable for week 7 against the Jaguars. He is expected to play after practicing in full close to full this week and had 20 touches compared to Josh Kelly's 12 in Jackson's first and only start thus far since Austin Eckler went down. How are you feeling about the backfield? Justin Jackson over there for the Chargers.
Big fan of Justin Jackson this week and probably going forward. I know Kelly was a hot waiver ad, a guy that people really liked as a short yardage guy. But the bottom line is Jackson, in very limited time, showed us that he can take over the Austin Eckler role as far as receiving is concerned out of this backfield. And you love to see that with the way Justin Herbert's slinging the ball around, putting them in good position. So I like Justin Jackson, especially in this game against Jacksonville, who's one of the most susceptible teams against running backs this year.
Josh Kelly's just been kind of a disappointment. Had all the opportunity right there in the world for him, and mom spaghetti.
Back-to-back fumbles prior to that pre-bye week, and then that they just went with Justin Jackson. We'll see. I mean, things can change fast in the NFL. We know that. But if Jackson is going to get 20 touches, like you've got to roll with that guy this week.
Johnny Game Time Hicks, Cardinals fan here, bringing it to us from Arizona. Cardinals head coach Cliff Kingsbury said he's hopeful that wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins can play Sunday against the Seahawks, dealing with an ankle injury. It's the same ankle injury that's been lingering for the last several weeks. Kingsbury said that he's hoping he can have DeAndre Hopkins the bye and really clear things up. Also said he hasn't practiced this week. For most players, that would be a sign have no chance of playing, but this is DeAndre Hopkins. Doesn't need to practice, can come in and make it happen. But they've also got some other playmakers over there. Nobody's going to replace Hopkins. But how do you take this news, which is a little bit confusing? How are you considering playing DeAndre Hopkins this week? And if he doesn't play, how does that impact the other Arizona pass catchers?
I mean, I'm playing. I would put him in. I think he's playing. He does this throughout his entire career. He always is questionable, has these lingering issues, and then ends up giving it a go. Will it hinder him? Yeah, it will. But I mean, it's DeAndre Hopkins. Like, this guy can make your entire day on one catch. That's all he needs, especially in this offense. So I would still roll him out. It is, of course, limit your expectations, but he's going against Seattle, who gives up a ton of yards to the wide receiver position. So I would still roll him out there. I do think this is an uptick as well for Christian Kirk. I don't think that you should expect the week that you saw from Christian Kirk last week, but I do think that if DeAndre Hopkins is banged up, they could get him a little bit more involved, and as well as Larry Fitzgerald as well. You saw him get an increase in targets last week. He got 9, I believe, if I recall correctly. So you could also see an increase in that. And then, like I said, I believe that they will lean on the run. And so I that's what I think. I think that's the game plan, Coach.
You heard it here first. In the Whisper Nation chat, Slay Aldu Bailey asks a trade question here for us. Joe Mixon, Giovanni Bernard, and Odell Beckham for CEH, Chark, and McLaurin. What do you think? So Cincinnati backfield, Mixon, Bernard, and Odell for CEH, Chark, and McLaurin. The latter wins that deal, right?
Yeah, I would rather have the CEH side, and me and Brazy kind of talked about this. And it's not just, Le'Veon Bell is scary. I get that. But so is the offensive line for Cincinnati. So is OBJ on a run-heavy squad. When you're getting back McLaurin, you're getting to keep McLaurin and Chark, who are in pass-heavy teams because they're in negative game scripts all the time, and they're the main focal point of those pass attacks. You've got to keep the volume here. And I know CEH is scary, but I think even with Bell fully inserted in that lineup, CEH is going to have good weeks. He's going to be flex-worthy in a lot of weeks. Like, RB2 flex worthy in a lot of weeks.
Well, and
I'm saying it right now. I'm putting my flag down on this. Le'Veon Bell is a mirage. You do not need to be worried about Le'Veon Bell in the Kansas City offense. He's going to be there. He's going to spell. He's not going to look exceptional. His lack of production absolutely had to do with Adam Gase and that horrible, horrible system they have there in New York. But the man has worn off more tread on his tires, running the ball for 40 touches a game back with Pittsburgh. The man is close to 30 years old. The man hasn't looked good in the last couple of years. He had crazy opportunity in New York and still wasn't able to get anything done with it. I think him coming in for 5 to 10 touches a game, spelling CEH and keeping a fire lit under his butt to say, hey, you're the first running back drafted in the NFL. Show us why. We saw him perform really well last week. I don't think they want to make Le'Veon Bell the feature. And I think that if anybody's scared of Le'Veon Bell coming in, that's really going to be an opportunity. So that's my flag. I'm putting it in the ground.
I think they'll
Bell,
use
more like Le'Veon Spell.
I think they'll bring Le'Veon Bell in to use him for his pass catching capabilities. I think that's what they want. I don't think they'll. I mean, yes, he will get some rushing, obviously, rushing attempts, but I don't think it's going to be a lot. I think 4 to 8. But I could definitely see him getting, 6 targets a game because that is part of his game that has not slowed down at all, and that was what everyone was calling for in New York, saying that.
And we've got a really questionable situation with Sammy Watkins' hamstring, right? And so the idea here is that maybe they slot Le'Veon Bell into the slot, and they use him a lot as a pass catcher.
Yeah.
And they're using him more, as Johnny said, for pass catching. I do think he's going to rob, CEH GMs of some goal line looks, because we've already seen that be a little bit of a problem for CEH. But we're talking about marginally changing an RB2 week to an RB1 week. And I really don't think that you're going to be that upset with CEH most weeks, even with Bell fully inserted in the offense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Proddy JML asks, 2 slots open. Who should I start? Robert Woods, DJ Chark, Justin Jackson, Julian Edelman, or Deante Johnson?
I think if Woods goes, I think I would go Woods and Chark. If Woods ends up missing this game, I would go. Well, I would go Chark and probably Justin Jackson as the safe. But Deante Johnson is interesting. He does have a nice matchup, but that's a gamble with the way that he's started the last 2 starts where he's played not even a quarter. So I would go
Claypool, how he's done what he's done too.
Yeah. There's a double whammy in the risk zone there. I actually said Shark and Justin Jackson here. I think Woods locked up against Kyle Fuller of Chicago kind of scares me a little
that's
bit.
true. Yeah.
This week, so I would go with Justin Jackson. Once again, it's Jacksonville is over 7-point favorites in that game. Chargers are.
Illis Givtopoulos asks, should I accept CD Lamb for CEH in a PPR league?
No.
No, I would not do this deal. And the reason is a lot of what we just said about CEH, the running back landscape in a COVID year right now. You want to keep on to running backs. And the overall Dalton doom that we saw on Monday night does not give you warm and fuzzy feelings about CeeDee Lamb in this offense right now.
Yeah, 100%. Moving on to hear some of the questions here. We almost got to the bottom of these before we jump back into our nuggets. Nick H asks, which 2 should I start? A.J. Brown, Keenan Allen, Terry McLaurin, and Robbie Anderson. A.J. Brown, Keenan Allen, Terry McLaurin, Robbie Anderson. Assuming Keenan Allen will be back and healthy.
This one is tough. I would probably go for it, Johnny.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I think I'm going to go Keenan Allen and Terry McLaurin here. I do like A.J. Brown a lot. He had 2 monster games. It would be hard to sit him, but I have concerns against Pittsburgh and this defense and what they're facing over there with Ryan Tannehill. So that gives the slight edge for me for Scary Terry in this matchup against Dallas, who has just been shredded by opposing wide receivers.
The People's Champ 2007, full PPR, flex, Giovanni Bernard or T. Higgins. We already talked about this one. T. Higgins is who the panel went with.
I would like to know. We did, and then I would like to know what it took to be the People's Champ in 2007. Like, what was the requirement? And how do I become the People's Champ for 2020?
Right, and that's a title to hold on to. That was 13 years ago. A child born that year can see a PG-13 movie. That's something. That was a while ago.
Well, that was the year I graduated high school. So
me too.
I thought I was the People's Champ.
I mean, they probably aren't going to any movie theaters this year if they were in 13. Fair. So,
well, you never know.
But they can. But soon they'll be able to experience that.
Nick H asks, Josh Jacobs or James Robinson in PPR? Man, Josh Jacobs without an offensive line.
Yeah,
going to James Robinson, right? This week with no
it's tough too because Robinson's touch counts dwindle bad when they're down. But you got to roll with Robinson, I guess.
Dude, that's wild. But you gotta do it. You gotta do it. How do you? It's like if we try to do a podcast, without, I don't know, a camera.
So Jalen Bahia asks, should I start Jonah or Fant? And that brings me to my next point in the news or nuggets is about Noah Fant. So let me hit this one here before we address that question. Noah Fant, ankle, will play week 7 against the Chiefs. Fant had a 19.8% target share in his first 4 games for the Broncos. Suddenly returns with Drew Lock back.
Oh,
You've been a big Noah Fant fan all season here. Rostered him in a handful of leagues. How do you feel about Noah Fant, and how do you feel about Noah Fant stacked up against Jonah?
I would start Jonnu Smith, only because Jonnu Smith has been more consistent part of his offense and has been healthier so far this year than Noah Fant. And it's not by a lot because Jonah's dealing with it. But I think I trust the offense more for Tennessee than I do Denver, even with the matchup. But I will say this, that I do like Noah Fant this week. That's a good problem to have if you got Jonnu Smith and Noah Fant in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
So Kareem Hunt is next on the docket. We've spoken about him. He's been dealing with that groin issue. However, he was not on Friday's injury report. He's going to play against the Bengals with no designation. That doesn't mean that he's 100%. Nobody in the NFL is 100%, but you like to see him coming off the designated list. And he's in a really good spot against the Bengals defense that has been allowing the 6th most rushing yards per game, averaging 28.2 rushing attempts per game. Johnny, how are you feeling right now about Kareem Hunt, just in general, and the Browns offense here this week against the Bengals?
No, I think that they're going to run. They want to run the ball. That's what we saw last time when they played this team. So I think that will be the same. I do think that Deante Johnson could be a little bit more involved in this game. So I actually don't mind him as a flex play this week if you ultimately need to go that direction. It is a bit of a dart throw, but I could honestly very easily see him getting 10 to 14 touches and against a favorable matchup here. So I would roll that way if needed. But
I love the way you said sneaky flex play. You almost asked it like you were trying to convince yourself. Sneaky flex play.
Yeah, I didn't. Maybe I'll tell you, it's a sneaky play here, though. Staying with Cleveland. I know I'm stealing your thunder a little bit here, Austin. But that is David Njoku with Austin Hooper getting his appendicitis removed. David Njoku, I gotta reveal this. I gotta talk this through on this show because I brought this to attention. This is just a feeling, like a couple of weeks ago I had the Isabella feeling. I'm just hooked on a feeling. This week it's David Njoku. And I'll tell you why. Here's my theory. My theory is that earlier this week we had heard reports, and earlier this season we heard reports that David Njoku wanted to be traded from Cleveland. And then he hasn't been used. He got injured. He came back. He's seeing an increase in snaps each and every single week. And then all of a sudden, guess what? Like Hooper goes on to get surgery, allowing him the opportunity. There were reports that he had requested a trade again this week, and with the trade deadline next week, what a better way than to showcase yourself in the best fashion, as well as why not Cleveland go out and showcase David Njoku for a possible trade with the great matchup against Cincinnati, who's giving up one of the most fancy points to tight ends. I think that David Njoku, extra facto connecting the doctos, is gonna have a good game. That's all I say. If you need a late round,
you had me until the
ipso facto connect not so.
Yeah, dude. Yeah,
that one's going on the quote board. Put it on the board. No, but that was my next point. There is Austin Hoover's got appendicitis. He's out this week, maybe the next. David Njoku's come back 2 weeks healthy. Could be filling in. Is he a startable option? Game Time says, heck yes, he is. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I think that's a good one too. David Njoku was emerging as a tight end one last season before he went down with that crazy arm injury, and the man has got a lot of talent. Former first-round pick there at the tight end spot. Moving over to the Tennessee Titans, we talked a lot about Jonnu Smith. He doesn't have an injury designation coming in. He's going to be playing, and A.J. Brown as well, who returned to practice Friday. He was absent a lot during the week, but this really could just be his new season regimen to help recover from that bone bruise that he's dealing with, which hurts a lot. So we know that neither one of these guys are 100%, but they don't carry a designation coming into this weekend's slate of games. Are you concerned at all, Big Travie, here about the primary pass catchers here in Tennessee with A.J. Brown and Jonnu Smith?
I think that they're probably both going to suit up, and I'm not too concerned. I think that's the one way you can get at Pittsburgh here is through the air. So if you've got them, you're mostly starting them. I know we had a question earlier where I would lean towards like Terry McLaurin over A.J. Brown. So it's really just going to depend on your roster, but I really like Jonnu Smith getting in a full practice at the end of this week. He should be locked and loaded. And then if A.J. Brown misses, Jonnu Smith's going to see a ton of work.
Yeah.
So I got some somewhat breaking news.
Oh.
Antonio Brown will visit the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Saturday. This is from Adam Schefter. So he's flying to Tampa tonight, and he's also in discussions with Seattle. So that was the second team that's popped up now is Tampa Bay.
Not a surprise there with Tom Brady loving AB. What is interesting about that, though, is BA was quoted earlier this year saying no chance that AB comes here. So we'll see if Tom Brady has been talking in the ear of Mr. Coach and seeing if you can get him there. That I don't know. I don't know if I like that, dude. I don't know if I like that.
I'll tell you who won't like it is Chris Godwin, GMs. That's who probably should not like that deal.
No, that's going to eat into it.
But if, like we talked about Brady before, with keeping Brady over Herbert, I like Brady rest of the season again here if that deal gets done. For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I still like it, but
it is kind of funny too as you see, like it feels like Tampa Bay and the Chiefs are just like, all right, what veteran can I sign that like could give me
teams.
right? Exactly. It's just like they're both just seems to be playing Madden here. It's kind of funny.
So I want to jump here into some of the points that we actually haven't touched on. We've covered a lot of ground here through the questions and the news and nuggets. One of the teams we haven't really touched on is the Carolina Panthers. Curtis Samuel, he's questionable for week 7. Doesn't look like the coaching staff is rushing to get him back. So they're really confident in the other playmakers that they have, presumably speaking of Robbie Anderson and DJ Moore. But this Curtis Samuel news is noteworthy. He has been that clear number 3. He's coming off. Johnny, how do you feel right now about the playmakers over there in Carolina, given this Curtis Samuel news and just how the team is moving thus far?
I mean, I'm just interested in DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson from the wide receiver position, and then Mike Davis, well, for the running back position on that team. Oh, and I think Teddy is a good streamer. But I think Ian Thomas is Travis and I talked about this. Ian Thomas is a trap. His matchup looks great on paper, but don't go that way. Ian Thomas does not get targeted at all.
Imagine seeing that Carolina was playing Atlanta a couple weeks ago, which was the best tight end matchup on the slate, and starting Ian Thomas for 0 points. Yeah. Don't be that guy.
You're going to have a bad time. We want to hear help Trey S. not have a bad time. He said, just read that Hooper lost an ovary. Should I pick up Fells or Schultz? Full point PPR. Fells or Schultz?
Fells.
I love Fells this week. Yeah. Especially with Akins nursing injuries. I think the Packers are giving about 12 points per game to the tight end position on average. So you like that for Fells this week.
Yeah, definitely the matchup situation there and the injuries has a big impact there. Before we close out with some of these questions, we talked about here Joe Mixon, who is in the news and nuggets. He's not going to be playing. Make sure you adjust your lineups accordingly. Deante Johnson, he was removed from the week 7 injury report. He's going to be playing, but Clayton Claypool has really stepped up and involved. So temper expectations from that front. The one piece of news that we didn't touch on, neither here nor in the comments, was John Brown with the Buffalo Bills. He's not going to play against the Jets. He played, he gave it a go on Monday, but was limping throughout. He's going to be replaced by rookie Gabriel Davis on 9 targets. I'm filling in there for Brown. Johnny, do you have any faith in any pass catchers outside of Stephon Diggs for the Bills?
I do think that the Beasles is an interesting one if you're in a PPR and you need like a wide receiver 3 flex option. I think that the Beasles can get it done. He's seen like over I believe 6 targets. I'd have to pull up the exact stats. I'd have to vet it, but I believe he's seen at least 6 targets over the last 4 games. So 5
of 6 games.
There we go. There's my man, Big Travie, coming through with that clutch look up. So yeah, I do think that if you're in a PPR league, in a pinch, in a bind, you had Michael Thomas, you're thinking you was gonna get him back tomorrow, or on Sunday, in front of the millions and millions of people, and you need someone, then go get Cole Beasley. Not as exciting, but he'll give you points.
I think Beasley's a floor play. If you want to get a little dirty and go with your flex and get a little nasty, Gabriel Davis is a sneaky play against the Jets here. I like Gabriel Davis, and they really like the rookie over in Buffalo. So I think he's worth a little what the heck flex there.
So we've gotten through our news and nuggets. I just want to make sure we've cleaned up the rest of Whisper Nation's questions, gotten to everybody in the thread. We've got help. My fantasy team is bad, or I'm bad. Talking about Josh Jacobs. Is he worth even putting in if he's got Robinson and Singletary on the bench? We know that Josh Jacobs' offensive line has collectively contracted COVID. They will all be out and filled in by a bunch of the gift store employees. But
gift store employees.
James
What's really bad about that is the gift store isn't even open right now because of COVID restrictions.
Well, they're available.
They don't really.
That's why they knew they were available.
Hey, do you think
right?
that they could?
And that's no knock on these guys. They're gift store employees. If you've ever been out there to Oakland, they're all huge. It's crazy. You walk through the door and you're like, damn, this guy's handing me.
Yeah, so they brought the ones from Oakland over to Las Vegas just for the game because they felt bad because they left them in the stadium.
Are we? But this is fun. But
I mean, what happens if do they at one point are they just like, all right, let's just bring out the sled machine. All right, we're gonna say hike, and then if you just push it, and if he has 2 seconds to get the ball up. Yeah, exactly.
They go to the 5 Mississippi rule.
I did read, all joking aside, they were able to field an offensive line with straight backups. So they've been practicing with a full offensive line. Now, whether or not that's going to be good enough against this Tampa Bay squad, I don't think that's going to happen. But they were able, and I don't think that they're officially out. I think they're going to play it really close to being able to make it in because I think it's a 5-day in a row COVID positive. No, I think one guy tested positive. The rest are in contact tracing. Now, it's probably likely that they'll have it if he has it, but they're still going to test, and you still have to monitor that. So, should most of these guys get back into the offensive line, I think you could kind of be okay with Jacobs in other pinches, but in a lot of matchups, you're going to be wanting to put other running backs in. And I think in that situation, we talked, what was this, Singletary and Robinson? Yeah, I'm confident in both of them above Josh Jacobs against Tampa Bay, who we already said max has been 60 yards against them rushing on the ground.
Terry's been a little concerning the last few weeks, and they do have Zach Moss now coming back in.
Yeah, I mean it's not fun. I don't think it's not a fun sub, but sometimes you got to do that.
Fellas, let me know if there's any questions that I'm missing here, but I believe we got to everybody in Whisper Nation's here questions. Thank you all so much for bringing those questions to the table. And if you haven't hit that thumbs up button, do us all a favor here and hit that thumbs up button. Hit the subscribe button. Catch this content coming your way every single day, helping you get an edge week in and week out with your fantasy matchups. It's what we love to do. Love to spend our Friday afternoons here with you. Are there any questions that you need to answer here, Big Travie, Johnny Game Time Hicks, or any pieces of insight, pearls to share with the world?
I think we're good here. If you guys, we didn't get to your question, we're sorry. We appreciate you guys all joining. We do go live an hour and a half before game time on Sunday. So you can go ahead and catch us there right here on this YouTube channel. So as Austin said, make sure you're subscribed, make sure you like, and make sure you are catching us on Sunday so we can help you with your lineups.
Last
Johnny,
question here.
People?
Jamal Williams, Justin Jackson, Giovanni Bernard from R.A. Buzzman. I'm picking Gio. Guaranteed. Number one volume. I know Travis might be with Justin Jackson.
I would go Jamal if I know Aaron Jones isn't playing.
That's tough.
Dude, we just need to know about Aaron Jones.
Yeah, we need to know about Aaron Jones before we can.
Yeah.
So come back to us on Sunday because we will have a definite answer for you on Sunday. I can promise you that.
Yaz, Yaz, we missed our question. Sorry about that, Yaz. Tanny versus Pitt, Cam versus San Francisco, or roll out Burrow versus Cleveland. So Ryan Tannehill against Pittsburgh, Cam Newton against San Francisco, or Burrow versus Cleveland.
That's a Johnny question.
Oh, this is fine. I think I would probably go with Cam in this situation. I just think he has the safest floor here. But I will say, if you're feeling like a gambling player, which I mean you're playing fantasy, so you probably like to do that. I would actually probably go Joe Burrow in this game because if you look at Joe Burrow, the last time I talked about 35 passing attempts in all but one game. Unfortunately, that hasn't necessarily translated to fantasy points. He only has over 30 fantasy points once in this season. However, the one game he did have over 30 fantasy points at the quarterback position was against Cleveland. So I do think he can repeat that this week. So I would actually be okay. I would actually go with Joe Burrow in this instance.
And what you guys saw right there was Johnny Game Time Hicks crack open his mind and go through the entire process of which quarterback he would start. He started with Cam and made his way to Joe Burrow. You appreciate the process being on full display there. I kicked it to Johnny for the reason that I would be torn between Cam and Joe Burrow in this instance as well. You have Cam's floor, but I think Burrow actually gives you the higher ceiling this week. So maybe look at the matchup, who you're playing against, what kind of points you need from your other positions, and go based on upside versus floor. But I like Johnny's take there.
Sticking with the quarterback question, Ryan Tannehill or Brady this week?
I like Brady this week.
I like Brady too.
Brady.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think
and Tannehill against that Pittsburgh. Tannehill against Pittsburgh. That Pittsburgh defense.
Ceiling is lowered.
Pretty tough.
Yeah, tough.
Yeah. And just clearing up here for Ari Busman. Last one. Gio over Justin Jackson. Then.
Yes.
For me, it's just because it's a clear-cut opportunity.
Yeah.
It's Kelly will
I would
still
say
be there.
That we've seen Gio be the bell cow without Bernard or without Mixon in the lineup. So I would go with Gio.
Yeah.
Whisper Nation, man, it's been a fun Friday afternoon. Thanks for joining us. Be sure to like and subscribe to catch all these live broadcasts as well as the edited content coming your way every single day. And as Game Time mentioned, going live before kickoff on Sunday to help answer any of your last-minute lineup questions. If you hit that subscribe button, you'll get a little ping to notice that's coming in. And then you can drop your questions in the chat. We will get to every single one of them. We love it. Gets us fired up. It's why we do what we do. So on behalf of myself, I am Austin Sear, Johnny Game Time Hicks, Big Travie. We are the Fantasy Whispers. Have a great weekend.
Peace out, everybody.
Peace.
Ipso facto, connect the dot.